So hi and welcome to today's video. So today I'm going to be showing you the full clean and protection on this Porsche Cayman GTS, and I was super excited to film this video. Obviously a fantastic car, and everyone knows I like a red sports car, but this is by far the nicest car we've had on the channel so far. So I've really appreciated the opportunity to clean this one. So of course I'm going to show you what it looks like here. So there's definitely a bit of dirt around lower sections. A lot of bugs on the front, and the wheels in particular were quite dirty. It was quite typical of what you would see on a car that's driven quite frequently, particularly throughout summer. As you can see, a lot of dried on bugs at the front, a lot of brake dust and some dirt around the lower sections. There was also quite a bit of tar in this vehicle, which I noticed after I'd washed it, so I'll of course be sorting that out in the process of this video. First started off by just rinsing the car down and seeing what came off. Now very little came off at this stage. The traffic film wasn't too bad, so that wasn't really a concern, and I knew that the pre-wash would tackle that. However, there was a lot of sort of baked on bugs and dirt. So some of these chemicals have been provided for free by brands in the past to review. However, as always, this isn't a sponsored video, and I'll be providing my honest opinion as we go throughout the process. And I wasn't obligated to include any of these products in this video. They're just ones that I thought would work really well, and I'll list all the ones that were sent for free in the description below. First, onto the tyres and the arches. So I started off with Autoglan's Rebound, which is of course a ready to use rubber cleaner, one that I purchased reasonably recently. So I thought it'd be good to try it on these tyres, as they were very dirty, in particular the rear tyres that I'm working on here. So I gave a couple of sprays onto the tyre wall itself and also onto the brush, and gave it a good scrub, and you can see just how much dirt is being lifted off here. So I wanted to go in again and repeat the process. Now I know that this is a fairly powerful tyre cleaner, and I'm not sure how many hits it would have taken with an all-purpose cleaner, but I actually did 4 hits on the rear tyres and 3 on the front tyres before I thought the foam was completely white and I could apply a dressing on top. Now once I had dealt with the tyres, I of course moved on to the arches. So I used my usual brush for this and Green Star all-purpose cleaner at 10%, and luckily there was sort of a gap at the top of the tyres where you could reach in with the brush itself. And of course there's not too much of a gap here, but I managed to clean them quite well, and they scrubbed up very nicely. So now onto the alloy faces and the barrels. So for this I used the Garage Therapy Wheel Shampoo, and I used 10ml of this into 500ml in this IK foamer, and I put around 5ml in my wheel bucket just to provide a little bit of suds there. So I started off by using this chenille microfiber wash mitt to clean as much of the faces as possible. Now luckily these alloys aren't particularly complicated, and you can reach most areas with the wheel mitt. So I did use my soft GB detailing brush, which is a very soft and safe brush to use on some areas of the wheel, so around the wheel nuts and in the very corners of each spoke, just to make sure that the mitt had reached everything and that they were thoroughly cleaned. I did also use the brush as well on the calipers, as they were painted a very nice red, so I wanted to make sure they were as clean as possible as well. For the barrels, I managed to use my SGCB UK microfiber wheel brush, which is one that I can't really use that often because the gap in between the wheel and the brake is normally too narrow to fit this brush. It does come in a pair with a smaller brush, however I could use a large one here, which was a lot easier, and got these completely clean, as of course you can see them due to the design of the spokes, so it was really important here to make sure they were as clean as possible, and I used that wheel shampoo to lubricate it as well. So once I had finished with the wheels, I then moved back onto paintwork for the pre-wash. So I decided to keep things quite simple here and use the same chemical for both the pre-wash and the contact wash. So here I'm using the Garage Therapy Decontamination Shampoo, which I'm sure most people know I'm a big fan of now. You can use this product for various different situations. I could have used it on the wheels. It's quite a versatile product and I have made videos on it. But here I used it at a 50:1 dilution in my IK sprayer, sprayed it all over and allowed it to dwell for just over 5 minutes on this car. I found was enough. You could definitely see the traffic film being lifted and it helped to remove some of those bugs that were stuck on the front. I reckon on the front of the car where there was some very stubborn bugs that I could have probably done with a slightly more concentrated mixture. So I did give it a second hit on some areas, but on the rest of the car it was completely fine, and I think if it hadn't have been driven throughout summer and these bugs have been left there for a reasonable amount of time, then one hit would have been plenty. So I did enjoy using it as a pre-wash, which was the first time I have used it in this IK sprayer. It's not something you would use really as a regular maintenance wash, being quite a potent alkaline chemical. It's something of course you use for decontamination purposes or stripping old waxes and sealants to apply something new. This car didn't have any protection on it, so it made sense to use it in this situation when I was going to apply something afterwards, just to get the paint as clean as possible. So here you can see me using it as a contact wash, and I brought out my fancy Cheon wash mitt for this, which is my really nice microfiber one. And I used a few different mitts on the car and sort of a mixture of a 2-bucket and a multi-mitt method, I suppose. But this shampoo is a really nice one to work with. Even on the shots where it doesn't look particularly sudsy, it was very slick, and that was just because when I dipped the wash mitt into the bucket I didn't collect as many suds as I could have done. But in terms of slickness and safety, this is one of the best shampoos I've used, and it feels fantastic on the paintwork, particularly when combined with one of those microfiber wash mitts. Just a quick reminder as well, if you are enjoying the video so far, it would be fantastic if you could drop it a like. It really does help to support the channel and get the video out there to more people. So also on some of the badges, which wasn't too many on this car, but I used another soft GB detailing brush just to work in some of the badge work. As you could probably see on the original shots, there was a bit of ingrained dirt in these areas. I wanted to make sure that they were as thoroughly cleaned as possible, as I never really feel that the car's finished without doing this step. So once I had finished with the contact wash, I rinsed the vehicle down, and it was at this point where I could see the severity of the tar spots on pretty much the entire lower sections of the vehicle. Now, they were probably the worst example of tar spots I've ever seen, possibly due to the kind of roads this car's driven on and the fact that it is very close to the ground. So I used Squid ink tar and glue remover, and on some cases the tar spots, particularly large ones, did take a couple of hits to actually remove the deposits on here. I did apply it to a wet panel as I didn't want to over concentrate it, just being quite cautious on other people's cars. But I managed to remove them all in the end, and the car looked miles better for it. But afterwards, just to remove any remaining residue, I went over it with the Decon shampoo and a fresh mitt again, and then towel dried it using this twisted loop drying towel and this sort of patting technique just to make things as safe as possible and avoid swiping at the paintwork. I also used a separate towel to dry off the wheels to make sure that there was no water spots on those before moving on to the protection stage. For the protection on this car, I used the Solution 61 ceramic wax, which has amazing water behaviour, and I'll pop a link in the description to a video where I demonstrated that. I didn't show it here because I didn't want to chuck water over this freshly cleaned car, but the water behaviour is outstanding. The application in terms of putting it on the panel is very easy. In terms of removal, it's not the easiest wax. It's a little bit stubborn if you leave it on there for too long, but not too difficult by any means. You can definitely remove it without any problems. Just be conscious of curing times if you are using it. don't leave it on there for too long, otherwise you make life a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. So I have used this wax a few times, and I think durability wise, the max claim is 6 months. Of course this car wasn't clayed, but it was decontaminated using the tire and glue remover and the decon shampoo. So I would probably expect at least 4 months on this vehicle. Of course we're heading into winter now, so hopefully it will see it through at least some of the harsher conditions and protect that paintwork and keep it looking cleaner for as long as possible. So you can see here on the removal stage, it's definitely not a sort of one swipe removal. I left it on for 15 minutes here, which was a touch long. 10 minutes I find is the sort of sweet spot in most conditions. So I would go around with that. On the panels where I hadn't had it on for so long, it was definitely a little bit easier. But although the removal isn't the most effortless, I think that the results you get in terms of water behaviour are definitely worth it. And the durability of it as well seems pretty good. You can definitely see as well a nice finish coming up here and really bringing out that gloss in the red paintwork. It's a great colour and I was really happy with the finish that this ended up with. I always find as well when removing waxes, even if the ones are very easy to remove, that using a short pile microfiber towel is usually the best option to go for. So this one in particular is from Pyramid Car Care that they did send me. And it's a really great towel for removing polishes and waxes. It's good value for money and has lasted quite a long time for me, and I've used it on quite a few occasions. And the final step was to dress the tyres, so there wasn't really much doubt in my mind here which one I was going to use, and that is the Garage Therapy Tyre Serum. As well as all the kind of protective and replenishing benefits this product has, and I've made videos talking about that. But one of the things I do like most as well about this product is the finish. So this leaves a lovely satin finish and it's not too glossy or distracting, which I thought was perfect for these tyres. As of course I wanted more of the attention to be on either the alloys themselves or the paintwork, and I didn't want the tyres to be what your eyes were drawn to necessarily. So using something that darkened them and provided a nice sort of sheen to the tyres was exactly the look that I wanted to go for here. So here is what the car looked like at the start, and here is what it looked like after a few hours of working on it. You can see the transformations here on the wheels as well. I was absolutely ecstatic with how it turned out. I thought that the finish looked fantastic. Definitely brought out that gloss and of course provided some wax that was going to help see this car through winter and apply some good level of protection to it. If you have enjoyed the video, it would be fantastic if you could give it a like. Comment down below if you've got any questions about the process or the products, and if you're not subscribed already, subscribe for weekly detailing videos and making vehicle transformations and product reviews all the time. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.